And this year they had 200 and some volunteers. So you can imagine how hard everybody was working. So please make sure you thank them when you get home. Send a message that you had a great time. Tell them, that what a great job they did. Okay, will you do that?
Yeah!
I want to get in, first things first, if you weren't here, anybody that wasn't at either of the other two panels this weekend? Anybody? A few of you guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here. The first panel, I forgot to mention stuff that I'm supposed to mention. So I really blew that one. And yesterday I did. But for those of you new here today, or if somebody was here Friday but not yesterday, I hope you'll join me. Follow me on Twitter. It's Vic Mignogna with a little check mark. I think that means it's real. Somebody sent me a message yesterday and they're like, is this your Twitter? And it said Vic Mignogna and it had a picture of me. And it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, no, that is not me. So apparently you're supposed to look for the check mark, which I think means verified. I don't even know. But follow me. That's the best place to find out where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be, if I'm doing something really stupid, and I want to show you or tell you about it, like maybe shooting a video while I'm riding a bicycle. Some people might think that's not a smart idea. And then also, I mentioned yesterday that every Wednesday night, I'm on Twitch. I do a Twitch live stream every Wednesday night, and I would love to have you guys there. It's Real Vic Mignogna, and it's free to hang out. We've only been doing it for a while. We've got like 150, 200 people every night. So come and join us. And then I bring in subscribers to be FaceTime together and talk about stuff. And so please feel free to join us for that. It's a lot of fun. And I've got several events coming up. So I know a lot flew in from other places.
I did.
Did you really? Where'd you come from?
I came all the way from Maryland.
Maryland? Where's my mother? Jesus. My mom lives in Ocean City, Maryland.
Oh, sure.
Right on the beach. Wow. She is beautiful. I love Maryland. Blue crab, baby. Give me some. Steamed blue crab from the Eastern Shore. You have not lived until you've had that. It's amazing. Some people came to the table this morning like, we came all the way from Las Vegas. And my first thought was, maybe I shouldn't tell them that I'm going to be in Las Vegas next week. But I told them anyway. I'm like, okay, you came to me, now I'm coming to you. So, oh, shut up. I love you. This guy. You know what? Where's my other friend that learned my song? Dude, can I just get over here? I gotta embarrass you for a minute. You guys, you don't even know how much this means to people. The simplest little kindnesses, you know? So if you were here Friday, I sang a song that no one's ever heard, basically. I wrote it for someone very special that I loved, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna sing it, just because I wanted to share it. And this guy came up to me yesterday, okay, so song sung on Friday that no one's ever heard. This guy comes up yesterday and goes, hey, I wanna sing that song with you that you sang yesterday. And I'm like, well, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that? Like, it's not on any of my CDs. It's not anything anyone's ever heard. And he goes, no, my brother shot a video and I'm gonna learn it. And I thought, no, he's not. He's just being cool, but he's not gonna do it. He did it. He absolutely did it. So he came to my table this morning and he sits down the phone in front of me and with the video, and you hear the music playing, and I looked at the screen and it was from Friday's panel, and he starts singing. Someone has known you all of his life. Someone has dreamed you all through the night, but you weren't there. lines he hoped he would find. All of the dreams held deep in his mind were you, but where? I love this guy. I hope that you guys get to experience those kind of things in your life, in your daily life, and don't miss them. They'll slip past you. They'll slip past you, but don't miss them. It could be something as simple as the Starbucks girl that hands you the coffee through the window, smiling at you. Or even just taking a minute to look at your name on the cup, and she hands it to you. She goes, "Have a great day, Brian." You look her right back and you go, "Thank you. You have a great day too. You just made this day better." People miss those things. Don't miss them, okay? Promise?
Yep.
Brian, you promise? All right. All right, who's got a question? Let's get started. Wow, that was quick. How do I miss the giant black furry paw? Anybody with, they get first question.
It's squeaky too. It's squeaky too.
Question, but it's for my brother actually.
What? Is this your brother? Wait, what, we're setting up a movie shoot here? What's happening?
Yes, and he's my twin actually, and he wanted to give you the video of Friday when you were singing.
Okay, so number one, I can
Wait. I want everybody to hear.
Okay, so I believe it was the following day. I had came to you and I asked you, hey, can you sing it again? Because I thought I messed up the audio on this camera.
Yes.
I got it.
You didn't mess it up. It might have sounded better if you'd have messed it up. I mean, I don't know if it did it good or not. It might have been, when you said, I think the sound got messed up. Inside I'm like, oh, thank you. It's like, yeah, that's it. That was me.
I wanted to give it to you because I figured maybe you want to throw it onto your Twitch or something, and I really did try. I was just like, let me clean it up. It's not any special editing, it's just you, because you're already amazing. You don't need any more.
So I wasn't even trying to do this right now.
So it's Embarrassed Brother Sunday, apparently. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Yes? This guy's like, and as soon as I turn to him, he goes, oh, no way. What's your name, man?
My name is David.
David, say hi to David, everybody.
David, what's your question?
So it's not more of a question, but I was thinking if you could say this line.
Oh, no. These things usually go really bad. You know that, right? Let me see this line. Hold on. Oh, and here's what?
Tamaki's.
Oh, this is from the opening, isn't it? I wish I remembered this. I mean, I wish I would have memorized it. You know, you guys, it's so funny. I don't know if you've ever thought about this. Maybe you have. A lot of people say, hey, can you do a line from such and such? Or do you remember the episode where such and such? Well, here's the thing. If you're doing a stage play, you have to memorize your lines. And if you're really sharp, you memorize everybody's lines, right? So you know when your cue happens and what's going on. And then you do the play 15 times, like you know those lines, right, in your sleep. Voice acting, you don't memorize your lines. You don't have to, because you're not on camera, you're not on screen. The first time you saw them was about 12 seconds before you read it, before you performed it. And if you do it right the first time, you don't have to do it again. So I may have literally said, like somebody go, hey, do that short rant where you said such and such as Ed. And I was like, what? Somebody said, I have to tell you this too, I'm so sorry. I didn't forget. I'm not sorry.
You're stalling.
Somebody came up to me one day years ago at a convention and said, what's your favorite line that you said as Edward Elliot? And I was like, wow, I mean, I'm trying to even think, you know, because like I said, if you do it the right time once, or at best twice, and then you move on, and it was weeks and months, or maybe years ago, you don't remember. And so I kind of turned it back on them. And I said, well, what's your favorite line that Ed ever said? And they said, I love the one where he said, there's so many people whose asses I have to kick, I'm gonna have to make a list to take names of, to make a list of them all. And I was like, I said that? I don't remember Ed ever saying that. By the way, I don't swear, Ed swears. It's a very important distinction, right? Am I right? Very important distinction.
Yes.
People are always saying, like, how could you do this character? How could you play this character? He's agnostic, he's atheist. Or how could you play this character? Well, that's called acting.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you know that. I mean, even if you're in a church, you have a passion play at your church, right? And it's performed by the members of the church, right? Well, somebody's got to play Judas. You see where I'm going with it? I mean, there are characters and people in stories and anime and movies. I've played homicidal maniacs, but I can promise you, I am neither a maniac nor have I ever killed anybody. So it's just acting. So while I may not say certain things, certain characters do, because it's part of their character. Oh my gosh, can I tell you another funny story about that?
You didn't answer. You didn't do a
This
thing.
guy's like, I'm never getting my phone back. Sure, you'll get it back. Anybody remember a show called Full Metal Panic? Fun show. First episode out of the gate, I play this character named Kurt Weber. Real cocky, arrogant kind of a guy, you know, smart mouth and stuff. First episode, we start recording. And the guy that was directing was named Don, I'll never forget it. And 5 or 6 lines in, he had a lot of, my character was like saying a lot of profanity. And something else you may not know is, a lot of times voice actors have no idea the show they're doing. We were talking about this last night at dinner, how, you know, a director just call you in and say, hey, I need you for 2 hours tomorrow. So you just go in, and he goes, this is who you're playing, get in the booth, go. And it's that quick, and sometimes you don't even know anything about the show. I've made the mistake in the past of playing characters in shows, and as soon as I realized what it was, I was like, maybe I should have looked into this a little more. And I have since, but early on, when I was first starting, I was like, hey, this is just fun. You want me to do another character in another show? Sure. I'd never heard of any of these shows. I knew nothing about the story or anything. So back to Full Metal Panic. So I'm doing these lines as Kurt Weber, and I'm noticing he says a lot of expletives, and you know. So by about the 3rd or 4th line, I looked at the director and I'm like, is this really necessary? I'm serious. And I'm like, you know, I don't really see that it's necessary for the character. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes there are elements of the way a character talks and his speech and the words he uses that communicates what kind of a person he is. But not all the time. And I think plenty of us have seen plenty of gratuitous profanity and stuff. Like, it's almost like shock value. It really brings nothing of substance to the character. It's just to be whatever. So I said to the director, I mean, is this really necessary? And he goes, well, I think it's kind of like the character, but if you can do it without it, I mean, if you want to rewrite the line and then do it without it, show me. If you can sell the character, if you can sell the attitude of the character without that, I'm fine with it. And so I looked at the line for a minute, because now I'm going to delete words, right? So I looked at the line a minute, and I made my adjustment in my head, and I said, okay, let's try one. And I did it. He goes, very casually, he goes, yeah, that's fine. And so from that point on, he didn't swear anywhere near as much as the writer originally, the English writer, originally had him doing, because it just wasn't necessary. You know, you can communicate a lot by attitude, a lot more than just the actual words. A lot of problems that writers have is that they literally spell it all out for you instead of letting the actor communicate, right? Instead of saying, you know, I'm angry that you left me standing on the street corner. You could just as easily go, you left me standing on the street corner. Do you see it? I didn't say I was angry, but you got it, right? So sometimes less is more, right? Now back to our program.
Finally!
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Oh, it's locked. I guess I can't do it now. No, open it up. Yeah, this is, and this whole crazy tirade that I just went on was a springboard off of the Oron opening. Because I only did it one time, and then they paste it, right, at the beginning of every episode. So it's not like I said it 23 times. Welcome to the Host Club. The Oron Host Club, where the school had with their... Oh my goodness, really? I said this? Welcome to the Oron Host Club, where the school's handsomest boys, with too much time on their hands, entertain young ladies who also have way too much time on their hands. Apparently, we only had time for one question. Ooh. Man, he knows how to get me, bro. Double lightsabers. Not one. Two. That's awesome. Oh, yes.
I was wondering if you could do like an Edward Elric mad like about being called short.
I'm sorry, an Edward Elric what?
Like mad whenever he's called short.
Oh, whenever he's called short. You know, I see somebody I would much rather have do this, right here.
Speak of the devil.
Everybody, get your cameras out. This is the world's largest Edward Elric. Or as I like to call him, Dream Ed. This is the way Ed imagines himself in dreams. You look great, dude. Dang, you've been working out. Lay off the juice, Ed. See him? He's all jacked up. No Fonz, give me a hand. Or if he's juiced up, he's probably, yeah, Fonz, give me a hand. I'm the Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, the reason that I'm not singing anything today is because my voice is shot. But since I like you, and since you're sitting very close to the double lightsaber guy, I'll do one for you. But it'll be a quick one, is that okay? I should move the microphone away too. They get a little loud. Who you calling a pipsqueak? And are there any sound engineers in the room? Anybody do any sound engineering? Okay, so every time I ever did a short rant, okay, wait a minute. The first time I did a short rant, let's say it was that one. And I was like, you get 3 beeps to lead you in. Most of you know that, right? So you know where to start. You get boop, boop, boop. And right where that 4th one would be is where your line begins. So I'm like, boop, boop, boop. I screamed it. And of course, the needle, like the engineer was not ready for that volume. I had to do that one again. And I was so mad. I did it, and I mean, it matched the flaps. I thought it was good. It seemed okay. Director liked it, and the engineer's like, I need one more. So it wasn't a solid, but he didn't take it down far enough. So 3rd time, right? How many times does Ed scream?
A lot. More than Broly.
As much as Broly, probably. Okay, so from that point on, the whole rest of the series and into Brotherhood, Anytime I'm in the script and I'm in my little padded box, right? And I'm going through the script and we get to this page and I'm reading the page and there it is. I'll break down your feet, stick them on your head, you know, right? And I'm like, oh, short rant. Engineer, this is gonna be really loud. And I wouldn't do it until he turned the record volume way down. Like he had a new setting for short rant. And so that we didn't have to keep doing them over and over again. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I was wondering, do you watch your own work? Like, when you did Full Metal Alchemist, did you watch the whole thing as well?
You know what? Full Metal I did. I've done like 400 different animated series and video games. And I can count probably on one hand, or maybe two hands, the number of shows that I've been in that I actually really watched. One of Full Metal was definitely one of them. Now, here's something else that you guys might not think about. We don't all get together and do the show. Like, we don't all get together in a room with microphones and perform like radio theater or something. We go in one at a time. Which means that if Ed is having a heartfelt conversation with his brother's not there. He's not there. You have to perform the lines as if you're interacting with someone. But you're not. And there are certain ways that you would change inflection if you're responding to someone else, as opposed to, being there by yourself and just doing the line randomly. Like, for instance, let me see if I can give you a quick example. Let me think of something. For instance, if he says to me, dude, you're so selfish. And my response is, I'm not selfish, what are you talking about? Right? If I didn't have him, I'd read that line and I might go, I'm not selfish, what are you talking about? But if I had him say, you're so selfish, I'm not selfish. See how it changes? Maybe you would punctuate the word not. I'm not selfish. And it sounds like you're responding to someone who said you're selfish. So we're all alone when we record. And when it came to Full Metal, I was so in love with the show. I was so in love with the characters. And sometimes I would be the first one to record, which meant none of the other actors' lines were there yet. And I wanted to know how it was going to sound when it was done. So I was just like you. Every Saturday night, I would watch it on Adult Swim because I wanted to see how it turned out. Not only that, but you only record where your character is. So like if Ed and Al are in Central, and there's a whole nother story going on in Leor or somewhere else, if Ed's not there, I don't even see that part of the script. I don't even know what's going on over there. Everybody remembers when Hughes died, right? What you may not know is, well, you know because you saw the show, but there was I don't even know, 15, 20, 25 episodes before Ed and Al found out that Hughes had been killed, right? But Vic knew. So I was like, oh, when is Ed gonna find out? Because that whole story arc, Ed wasn't in. Hughes was off doing his thing, and Ed wasn't there, so I didn't even see those pages of the script. You jump around and record your lines. I'm like, okay, dude, your first line is page 12, line number 19, go. Okay, line number 24, go. Now we're jumping to page 36, line number 19, go. See what I'm saying? You're literally jumping over and just literally hitting the spots where your character speaks. So a lot of times you have no idea, what's going on. But if you fall in love with the show, like I did with Full Metal, and Oron, and a couple others, Generator Gall was the first show I ever played the lead character in, and I loved it, so I wanted to see that. There was another show, Princess Nine, that I was in years ago, and I loved that show. But then as I got, doing more and more stuff, you really couldn't keep up. But yes, there were a couple shows that I definitely watched. Okay, I gotta get my lightsaber guy. I kind of promised him that I would. Yes, sir.
So,
Dang, you have a Jedi robe as well? Sweet! Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Wait, are these the ones from Galaxy's Edge? I knew it!
and then, yeah, well, this one, Disney World, and then this one I just came back from LA, Disneyland.
Oh, very cool, man.
Campus, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess two-part question. I wanted to, I guess, start picking up on voice acting, just like, for fun on the side, and also because I've been, going through, just life, just life in general. What advice do you have, I guess, to pick up voice acting?
Awesome. You know what? I'm so glad you asked, because a lot of people came to the autograph table over the last few days and asked, how do I get into this? How do you get started? And I said to them, ask me at the panel, because there are a lot of people that'll have the same question. So it's better to answer it, when a lot of people can hear it. So I was very fortunate, you guys. I got involved in voice acting, in anime voice acting in particular, when it was still very small. It was kind of a niche thing, it was kind of that specialized thing. And there wasn't a ton of it going on. This is like 21, 22 years ago. And there was a little studio here in Houston called ADV Films. I mean, the ADV Films was probably the size of this stage. It was just a couple of rooms with some recording equipment, a couple of computers to type up scripts and stuff, but not much. It was just some guys that loved anime, wanted to dub in English. So, the way I got involved in it was just that a friend of mine that I was doing a video project with here in Houston said, hey dude, there's this place in town. You've done a lot of theater, haven't you? A lot of acting? And I was like, oh yeah. Let me tell you about Captain Kirk in Star Trek. But I said, yeah, I've been doing that my whole life. And he said, there's this place in town, and they buy these Japanese animated shows and they dub them into English, and they're looking for actors. And all I heard was, they're looking for actors. Because, if you love acting, you look for opportunities to do it. It's not about money. It's not about getting famous. It's just about getting to do something you enjoy doing, like singing. You go to karaoke, not because you're going to win a Grammy, but because you like singing, So I went and did it. So the first thing that I would say, if you're interested in voice acting, the operative word in voice acting is acting. It is not voice. If you can imitate Krusty the Clown, good for you. If you can sound like Yoda, good for you. Somebody else has already got that job. And it's not about sounding like someone else. It's about playing a character, and that's acting. Very simply, you're acting. The only difference is you're in front of a microphone instead of in front of an audience. So everything has to be communicated through your voice. If you think about it, that's not so easy. Because if you're on a stage, right? If we're doing a stage play, and I'm playing a character in the show, I can walk out on stage without saying a word. And you believe, okay, he's bored and he's tired. And then somebody says something, I go, let's say somebody says, I love you. Are you seeing what's happening right now? I haven't said a word. And based on body language, facial expressions, costume, what am I wearing, right? All of these things communicate something about the character. But if you're dubbing, you're voice dubbing a character, you got none of that. None of that makes any difference at all. It's only whatever comes out of your mouth, the words, the way you say them. Which reminds me of a funny story once. Sometimes that doesn't even work. An actress friend of mine, voice actress years ago, we were doing a panel together. There were 3 or 4 of us on the stage, sitting at a table just like that. And one of my dear friend voice actresses said, somebody said, "Do you actually cry when your character cries?" And she said, you would think that that would be the best way, right, to capture the reality of it. And she said, but I was doing a character in an anime, and I was really moved. Like, as an actor, I was totally connected to that character, and I was crying when I recorded the line. And the director said, it sounded like you were laughing. Think about it. Isn't that interesting? Like, you could literally be actually crying, but since you take away the visual, take away the tears, you don't see that, you're not getting any of that, you're just getting the sound. And it did not come across like she was crying. Sometimes you have to act and fake that to make it sound like it's supposed to sound. So the first thing is acting. Get as much acting experience as you possibly can. Church productions, school plays, community theater, any opportunity to develop your skills as an actor. I probably know 100 voice actors in the industry, and I can only think of 2 that did not have acting training, college degree in theater, master's degree in theater, had been acting their whole lives. Like, that was the story of most of us. We had been acting for a long time. By the way, I'm not saying you have to go to school for acting or whatever. I'm just saying everybody I know has loads of experience as an actor first. I can only think of 2 voice actors who never did any acting before they got cast and started working as a voice actor. Most everybody's story was my story. I was an actor, I enjoyed acting, I acted in church productions, I acted in college, I acted in high school, I acted in community theater, dinner theater. So I was doing that, and then somebody asked me to step in front of a mic and try it. So acting is the first thing. The second thing is you have to be where that kind of work is done. I know that seems kind of like self-evident, but there are a lot of things that happen in every city. But there are some things that only happen a few places. I've often used the example that if I wanted to be a country western singer, where would I go? Nashville. That didn't take long. Nashville. Or maybe country music capital of the world, right? Or maybe Austin, or maybe a couple of places. But there are places you go to do certain things where, let's put it this way, where the opportunities are more plentiful, right? Houston, lucky you. Dallas, New York, LA, Vancouver. Forget Vancouver, they only use Canadians. Quick little aside, the director, the producer of Inuyasha, years ago wanted me to play the villain in Inuyasha, and then he called me back and said they won't let me hire. I mean, well, see, because this is part of the business.
You're gonna be Naraku?
Right? Why do productions go from Hollywood to Atlanta? Because they can do it for less. And Atlanta gives them breaks, tax breaks, and opportunities. But what Atlanta gets in exchange is all of the businesses that will profit from the film production company being in town, all the restaurants, all the hotels. You see, it benefits Atlanta. So they give the film company a break to come and shoot there. Same with dubbing. If I've got a studio in Canada and I want to make you a good deal to come and record your series in Canada, one of the stipulations is going to be you can only use Canadians. Canadian studios, Canadian engineers, Canadian directors, Canadian actors. So that's the trade-off. And it's not a bad thing, that's business, that's the way it works. But you have to be where these kind of things are done. Now, if you're interested in voiceover, that's a little different as opposed to voice acting. Voiceover is kind of like radio stuff, like announcer stuff, right? You hear it all the time.
If you're suffering from hemorrhoids, call the number on your screen.
Right? Well, that's like announcer stuff, right? Come on down today, Mattress Max saves you money, right?
Exactly, $1.
Those are commercials, and every city of almost any size has businesses that want to advertise, right? No matter how tiny your town is, there are businesses that will buy airtime on the local radio station or TV station to make a commercial about their business. So that kind of voiceover work, you can find a lot of places. But voice acting work, like animated series and video games, are predominantly in those markets that I mentioned. You guys, for the last 15 or almost 20 years, those were the two things that I said were necessary for getting into voice acting. And then just a couple of years ago, I came up with a third one that may even be the most important. Determination.
Yeah.
Let me explain this, you guys. You could be the greatest actor God ever made. And if you get easily discouraged, it's not for you. If you're the kind of person who's like, I've auditioned for 10 things and I've got nothing. If you give up easily, because there are a lot of people that want to do it, you know what I mean? A lot of competition. If you give up easily, it's not for you. Because that 11th audition might have been the one that you gave up. We've seen a lot of people in entertainment. We watch them, we're like, how'd that guy ever get on television? This guy's horrible. Am I wrong? Haven't you seen actors in TV shows or movies? You're like, how in the world, right? Or you hear a song, like this guy can't sing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? The reason is because it's not necessarily always the most talented. It's the people that don't give up. It's the people who just keep knocking on the doors and keep pushing and pushing, and then they just get the opportunity. They're in the right place, at the right time, with the right opportunity, and they make the most of it. So those are the three things that I would encourage anybody who's interested. And they kind of apply to a lot of creative fields, because there are tons of people that have talents, creative abilities, and a lot of them are in this room. I know, I've met you, I've seen your drawings, and I've heard you sing, and I've seen your art, and I see your amazing cosplay that you made yourself, and a lot of talented people. But determination is really important, and there's a lot of competition for these things. And the other thing is this, you guys, you gotta have a passion for it. You really do. What I mean by that is, when I started doing this, there was none of this. I mean, it was nothing. It was this weird little thing. We didn't go to conventions and sign autographs. And even ultimately 5 or 6 years after I started voice acting, started getting invited to conventions, it was not this. It was a ballroom, a tiny ballroom in a hotel next to the airport in Boise. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't this. Nobody had any illusion that I'm gonna be famous and I'm gonna sign autographs, people are gonna take my pictures, you're gonna clap, and they're gonna scream. If that's what you're thinking, that's the wrong reason to ever get into anything. Because what you'll find is, it's empty, first of all. You have to have the passion for it.
Yeah.
If you love mowing lawns, I like mowing lawns. I know that sounds stupid, but I love looking behind me and seeing the trail that I just made, you know?
I'll pay you
And like
20 50 miles.
vacuuming, I love it when you vacuum because you can make like shark teeth on the carpet. See, that sounds stupid, but my point is, it doesn't have to be some big famous thing. If there's something you enjoy doing, you will have much more joy in your life doing that thing than pursuing something that you really don't have a passion for. And could be discouraging. Don't let money be your guide, you guys. I watched my dad go off to a before my dad left, I watched him go off to a job he hated every day. And took his briefcase, his three-piece suit, and went out the door every day, and his life was miserable. And you know what? When he came home, he made everybody else's life miserable too, because he knew he was going to have to go back the next day. So find something that you love. If you like putting a series of pipes together to make water go from here over to there, that's cool. It's called plumbing. And you can do that and get paid for it. And it's fun. See, it doesn't have to be some glitzy, famous thing. Some people are great at taking cars apart and putting them back together. Some people are really great at figuring out how a computer program works or how to write code a certain way to make it do a certain thing. Don't limit yourself. If there are things that you have a passion for, pursue those, first and foremost. There are a lot of people now in the voice acting industry who were kids when we were starting out. And so for the last 10 or 15 years, they've seen this, right? And they're like, I want to sign autographs. I want to be, well, if that's the reason you want to be a voice actor, I promise you it'll be disappointing. So forget whatever it is, find what your passion is, what you have a talent for, or something that gives you joy, and pursue it, okay? Because you will be infinitely happier making $40,000 a year doing something you love, as opposed to making $400,000 a year doing something you hate. I promise you that. And I'm looking at people's elderly people like me in the room who are nodding, yes, it's the truth. So, question, I'm sorry, I got a long-winded answer, but hopefully anybody interested in voice acting, those are some guys for you. Yes?
I just want to say I love you so much.
I love you so much, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. Do you have a question?
Yes. I just want to ask you, has there ever been a character from an anime or a video game that you wish you could have done? And if so, could you give us your no?
Is there an anime character I wish I could have done? And can I give you an impression of them? Well, there are lots of them. But you know what I realized? You know what? Alyssa, right? You know what I realized, Alyssa? People used to ask me that question in Q&A sessions just like this 10 years ago. Is there a character you wish you could have played? And for the first several years, I answered that question pretty straightforward. Yeah, I wish you could have played that guy. And then one day it occurred to me, what if the audience thinks that I'm dissing the person that actually got cast? Think about it a minute. What if there's somebody in this, if I said, man, I would have loved to have played Vash the Stampede in Trigun. Man, that would have been great. And then somebody gets online, you know it's going to happen, and goes, Vic Mignogna thinks he could have played Vash better than Johnny Miles. Vic thinks he should have gotten cast as that. You see how that's exactly how it happens. And so when that thought occurred to me, I thought, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. When anyone asks, is there a character you wish you could have played? Don't say any specific characters. Because I would never want anyone to think that I was in any way diminishing the actors who actually played the role. Does that make sense? Now, I will tell you this, though. I will answer it this way. There are characters that I actually started playing that I was so excited about and was having the best time, and then the companies lost the license, and then another company picked it up and they just started over with the new cast. I'll give you some examples. Sergeant Frog. ADV in Houston had the license for Sergeant Frog, and I was cast as Sergeant Frog, as Caro. I had the best time. It was so fun. And if you know that show, Caro is like a nerd. He likes to build models and stuff. I loved it so much. I would go to conventions and buy Sergeant Frog merch and bring it back to the studio and put it on the windowsill. because we were having so much fun. And we were probably 10 or 12 episodes in, and then ADV went under. And every license that they had went up for grabs, and another studio purchased it and recast and start over. Gurren Lagann. Anybody remember that show? Same thing. I was playing Viral in Gurren Lagann, and I remember it's foggy now, but I feel like I did kind of almost like a Gollum kind of a, you know, that kind of a voice is much more, you know, crafty. And then the same thing happened. The company that had the license lost the license, and it went out to LA, and I was still living in Houston, and a company in LA dubbed it. Start over. So there have been a couple of those instances, but as far as characters I wish I could have played, there are a lot of them, and I want to say this too. There are a lot of a lot of shows, and I can even mention, I already mentioned one, Full Metal Panic. So I auditioned for Sosuke, Sagura, main character, right? And it didn't get cast. That's fine, Chris Patton did an amazing job. But I was bummed out at the moment, thinking, you know, that I didn't get it. And then they cast me as Kurtz Weber. And I loved Kurtz. He was so much fun. The moral of the story is the main character may not always be the most fun character. A lot of times, you guys know, you've watched a lot of anime, there are some secondary characters that are like your favorite. And it doesn't matter that they only show up every few episodes. You love that guy. His personality, the performance of the voice actor, whatever. So it's not necessarily the lead guy. Junpei!
Yeah.
You know it.
Sabo?
Yes. There was another one. Death Sight and Soul Eater. I auditioned for a lot of those, the main guys, and nothing came of it, and that's fine. That's business, right? That's the way it goes. But then he called me in to do Death Sight, and that first scene where he confronts Maka and Soul, I mean, within 30 seconds, I was like, oh, I'm in love with this guy. He's so fun. It's going to be so fun. And his, you know, good times, his chupacabras. And, like, he was so much fun. So a lot of times, the secondary characters are actually more fun. Yes, sir?
Yeah, so I am a huge Trekkie.
That means I love you.
Love you too. So I love all the Star Treks, including the new ones. I was wondering what you thought of this, I guess all the series following the original series.
Awesome. Well, to me, any Star Trek is great. Because maybe somebody will go back and watch the original. I mean, when the J.J. Abrams movies came out with Chris Pine and Zach Quinto and stuff, a lot of hardcore Trekkies were like, you know, this is sacrilege. You know, okay, oh, I'm not watching that garbage, whatever. And I kind of got it because when you have a passion for something, a really lifelong nostalgic love for something, you want to see it kind of the way you remember it. You want to protect it. I get the feeling. But when people ask me about it, and you can go back and see the videos online, here's what I've always said. They're not making those movies for me. They're not making those movies for the 50, 60-year-old people out there. They're making them for you. They're making them for a new generation. Their target audience is a younger demographic because they want to bring new fans to Star Trek. So that's why they made them the way they made them, and I get that. You know, J.J. Abrams doesn't make movies for fun. No. He makes them to make a living and to have a business, pay his bills. So what I always said was, hey, what I would love to happen is for you young people to go watch the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, and then you come out of the theater and you're walking to your car and you're like, man, that was cool. Hey, wasn't there a Star Trek back in the 60s, like a show way back there? And then you go and watch that one. See, that's what I get excited about, is that maybe the new Star Treks will bring people to what started it all, the original. And if you haven't seen it, aren't you the slightest bit curious as to what kind of a show made on a tiny budget 60 years ago still has dozens of movies, news shows, video games, the kind of impact that Star Trek has had? If you've never watched one episode, aren't you a little curious? What kind of TV show could have that kind of impact on the world? So maybe you might go watch it. So then you understand and you get it. Might give you a whole new appreciation. I've enjoyed them. I haven't watched them all. I'm a classic Star Trek fan. Everybody tends to be a fan of whatever Star Trek was in their generation. So like, you know, if you're 10 or 15 years younger than me, Star Trek Next Generation was your jam. She's nodding right there. I get it. And then there are other people that Deep Space Nine was their man, that guy right there. See, he loved it. Maybe Voyager. Maybe Enterprise with Scott Bakula. So to each his own, right? And that's the lesson for every single thing in life, y'all. We live in such a polarizing time right now. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get serious. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We live in a polarizing time right now, and I don't even know when this happened. I'm not sure when it happened. It might have crept up on us.
Yeah.
But we live in this time where, I mean, my whole life growing up, I had friends that I had deep disagreements about things with, but we were still friends. I didn't want to destroy them. I didn't want to ruin their life. I didn't want to ruin their business. Where did that come from? I don't understand it. And once again, you guys, you have the power to make a difference. There are so many good people like you out there. Millions and millions of good-hearted people. You get along with everybody. And it's just this tiny little group of people that cause so much trouble. They make you even think that there are a lot more of them because they make so much noise. You guys remember that Bible story? I don't know if you remember. It's Sunday, so we're going to test it. Do you remember the Bible story of a guy named Gideon? Here's the quick story. I'm going to give you the pop culture version. So God tells Gideon he wants him to go and attack the enemies. I can't. Ammonites, Midianites, I don't remember. Maybe the Midianites actually. Okay, so he's supposed to go and attack them. And Gideon's like, well, I have nobody. How do I raise an army? So God takes him through all of these different steps to trim down his army to 300 guys, right? And Gideon's like, whoa, Lord, there are like 10,000 Midianites over there. There are 300 of us. But you know what happened? God told him, okay, give everybody like a trumpet and a lantern, and then you spread them out in a certain way at night, and on the signal, they all start blowing their horns and the lights, and it terrifies the Midianites because it seems like there are so many more of them. And they won the battle. And I remember somebody saying it was because back then, for every trumpet, there was like 1,000 guys. You know what I mean? Like that would lead that group. So if you have 300 trumpets in the dark, you know what I mean? And you know your enemy's out there, you're like, oh my gosh, we're surrounded. We're never gonna, you know. And they got the victory. Same thing here. There are so many good people out there. And the negative people, there are not a lot of them. They just make more noise than anyone. So they get all the attention. But you guys, be kind to each other. You don't have to have the same political beliefs to like somebody. For goodness sake. You don't need to. You can be kind to somebody. Think about that, you guys. Seriously. I know you guys probably come in, oh, we're going to have fun, it's going to be really fun. I hope it's fun. But it doesn't hurt to take some things away, right? Amen. Yes, my dear. Oh, well, wait a minute. Did you win that belt? The heavyweight champion of the world is in the back of the room right now. They gave me a 10-minute sign, and I'm afraid. Have I run out? Do I have 2 minutes? Okay. Yes, I want to get that young lady right there.
I lost 2 shirts. If anybody
Sorry?
I lost 2 shirts. Speaking of being good people, Samaritans. If anybody sees 2 shirts,
I am so sorry. I wish I knew what she was saying.
I know.
She lost 2 t-shirts.
You lost 2 t-shirts?
Yeah, so if anybody sees them,
Oh, okay, if anybody sees those, they belong to that young lady right there. Yes, my dear.
Hi, I do remember you in 2019, and I'm Skylar. I was wondering, can you say my name in Edward Elric's voice?
Skylar, I know Winry and I have been really close for a long time. But the truth is, my heart gives. Oh yes, she just said, do we want to get a picture together?
Yeah!
Will you take it? Okay, I'm gonna let you guys all sit down in your seats so we can see everybody, and I'm just gonna stand here in the middle.
Can I,
Give me 1 second, bro. Can you give me a second? Have a seat right there, because I definitely want you in this picture, okay? So have a seat right there, so you're in a good spot right there.
somebody hold my GoPro real fast. Just, yeah, hold my GoPro, please. And get the footage. Put it over your head.
Have a seat, bro. Let's get a good picture. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Right, one more time. You guys want to pose?
I'm already posing.
1, 2, 3.
Now get rid of him and picking him up. Wait. We need one more picture of me picking this guy up with everybody else beside him. That's okay. Hype man.
You guys, I'll just. Okay. All right. We do have to end because there's another panel in here, but you come over here, and you pick me up, and anybody that wants a picture of this guy ravaging me, throwing me around, breaking me in half, busting every bone in my body, you can get it, okay?
All right.
Don't drop him!
Yeah. Shit. I got that! You got it! The pose. Alright, my turn! Now!
You guys, I'm heading back to my table. Thanks for making Anime Matsuri the best ever!
Thank you!
Love you guys. Take care. God bless you.
Yeah, next year!
See you next year, my friend.
Yeah.